Good evening, everyone. We thank you all for tuning in. It's Letha. I'm here with Mr. DeAndre Norman. I got too
Mm.
much light going on, but it's okay. I'm here with Mr. DeAndre Norman, and this evening, we're talking about why other cultures, other races should not be discussing what's going on in the Black community. This
Mm-hmm.
topic that it needs to be had. It's a topic that some people are already having. Um, Amazingly, I saw a post that he made a few weeks ago. He made a post on Facebook, and he expressed something that I think a lot of us want to discuss, but we haven't been discussing. However, for those who may not know who this wonderful gentleman is, first of all, I do want to encourage you all to follow him. He does awesome skits on he's on Facebook, and he is also on TikTok. He's a part-time artist, and he's a musician. He's an entertainer, sort of. He's from my neck of the woods, Red Banks, Mississippi. I'm from Holly Springs, and he enjoys comedy very much. He truly enjoys to make people laugh. So I would like to encourage you all to please check him out. I will be sharing, tagging him in as we are officially going live. Um, Also, he was doing videos about Norman's funeral home, crash out musician, tackling wrestler, and others. You can see his work on Facebook under DeAndre Norman, and on TikTok under DOCTA Doctor dot TIC 23 Dre Hollywood. And we want to thank him for being here with us this evening.
Thank you
Okay,
for
okay, Mr. DeAndre, let's get to it. So I noticed what you posted. I agree. Um, I sit on the fence with it.
right,
I sit on the fence with it because I feel like I feel like discussions do need to be had.
right.
However, I think that your timing was just phenomenal when you made the post. So just let's get into it. What are things that are concerning you as to why other races should not be discussing what's going on in the Black community?
Um, Picking back on the day I posted that, it
Mhm.
was around the time when the shooting happened at the recent horse show at Byhalia.
Okay.
And but the guy that actually did the shooting, I actually know him, but that's another story.
Mhm.
But and when people were talking about it and the news was posting about the shooting, like one dead, one in custody. There
Mhm.
was a guy of Caucasian descent that commented on it, and his words were exactly everything was fun. Everything seemed like it's fun until they get involved. They in all caps,
Mhm.
and clearly was a racist statement. At least that's how it came off. But
Mhm.
excuse me. The thing that bothered me the most about it was the black people who were reposting it and was agreeing with this fella about
Mhm.
the state of black people. So that what kind of got me, that they were agreeing with it, but not knowing the reason why he posted that. I mean, we're not perfect. We do have a lot of things in the black community that we need to get resolved. But my problem is when our people agree with the outsiders and not knowingly that when he made that statement, it was purely out of, racial hate, and it wasn't out of, speaking on black people. And I think that what kind of made me make that statement, make that post on Facebook, just letting people know that we can't let outsiders speak on what's going on in our community. We have to be the one to do that amongst each other, because outsiders speak from hate.
Mm.
Hmm.
I
So,
think for me, I sit on the fence, but I'm gonna tell you a few reasons why I don't care for other people to discuss. Um, Sometimes why I don't care
mhm,
is that statement you made. It's always something. Not always, but majority of the time, it's always something when they're talking bad about other things that occur within our communities. Sometimes it appears to be that it's something condescending. Sometimes it appears to be it's always negative. I take offense because when we speak about things, we're advocating for other people. And
right,
I think that that we have gotten I'm all about unity, all of those things, but I don't like people assuming that they know the backstory of things, what occurred, how things happen, and that's really not what a lot of the times that's not the truth. I also
right,
don't like this mindset that if something happens, depending on where it is gonna always be black people or somebody mainly have not done enough, and it's always some type of negativity drawn to something as far as whether somebody got something to say about the area people live in, whether somebody got something to say about how people have been raising their children, which they do not know. People just truly don't understand what they think they see. A lot
exactly.
of times people don't understand that even though that was an unfortunate situation that occurred, as many of them, but thank you for specifying as to what led to that. But what led me to want to have this discussion is it has become more of a rift when discussions are being held from other races as to what is
Mhm.
going on in the black community. And that is where I start taking things a little personal because, contrary, it is my most humble personal belief. It is not a fact, but it appears to be when things go on in other communities, we're advocating for other people, we're advocating for other cultures, we're advocating for those communities, we're advocating for other races. When things go on, a lot of the time in our communities, we don't get advocated for like we have been
Exactly.
doing the advocating. And it's like for me, it's just like I'm over it, burnout. I'm over this. We always on somebody else bandwagon. That's why I say
Mhm.
I sit 50-50. We always
Mhm.
on somebody's bandwagon. We always want to try to help other people. And these very
Mhm.
things are happening with our communities, but we can sit
Mhm.
up and allow other people to dictate to us and can talk to us and to say things to us when we too busy taking care of other people and we not taking care of ourselves as we should be taking care of ourselves.
Exactly.
And I just think that more people need to understand it's a way to say things
Mhm.
versus assuming that they that they know that they know the backstory. You
Yeah.
know, listening to what
Yeah.
occurred at this particular event,
Mhm.
as with many instances, people don't think before they get up and critique what happens in the black community.
Exactly. And man, like I said, I know the brother, and I've been knowing him for about 11 years. And to me, he never came off as the type of person to just act, act on instinct of what happened. unless being provoked.
Mhm.
So yeah, and I know he's a good brother. You know, he attends the church, and just as long as I've been knowing him, I've never known him to have any issue with anyone. So like I said, I don't know why that happened, why it had to happen. I think it was something involving his daughter. I mean, but no, I don't want to get so deep into it because
Mhm.
But yes, like I said, it was so many, like you said, it so many people making assumptions, quick to make assumptions about why that transpired, and like I said, the thing that hurt me the most was how many of our people, and not trying to pass judgment on nobody, the people
Mhm.
that actually were speaking, agreeing with this white man are actually some people who should be in on the discussion to listen. And that's the point I want to get across to them. We can't let outsiders dictate or determine who we are and
Mhm.
what issues we have in our community. So once we
Mhm.
allow that, that's the problem bigger than the problem that's already going on when you allow outsiders to pass judgment. You know, it's like like you said, we can't, it's crazy, it's disappointing, we had to discuss that amongst ourselves. And when we allow others to look in and look down on us, we we are pretty much, like you said, we're pretty much putting the ball in their court.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So, my concern, I live in Jackson. I've been here since I graduated in 96. So I've been in Jackson since I graduated Highly High in 1996.
Hmm.
I sit on the fence so many different ways because when I look at this particular city and the condition that this city has got in going on 30 years,
Hmm.
it's almost as if we are living in insanity reality,
Hmm.
doing the same things, not just getting different results, getting worse results, not
Hmm.
even better results. I also am concerned because or sit on the fence or however because um it appears to be that there is an intentionality, and I'm saying it's in this area. I'm not speaking about that event that occurred and that was an unfortunate situation, but it seems like it's intended. It has been part of the plot for Black people, no
Correct.
matter what side of the fence or the aisle that they sit on,
Hmm.
to help destroy this area in the black. I feel like that because I
Hmm.
cannot understand how we can be so strong in church.
Hmm.
In Jackson alone,
Hmm.
you probably have almost 200 churches in a 3-mile radius.
Hmm.
Three things Jackson, Mississippi don't need: no churches, no barbershops, no beauty shops.
Agree.
Well, liquor stores, pawn shops, and check advance stores.
Right.
I'm literally being honest. And we've had great people in office. We've had good people to run the school system. We've had good people to run the city, but it just never has come in enough to where it's like it's not even been worked with. Like they're not even working among each other,
Mm-hmm.
but you help work with other people. It appears to be almost like some people was put in position
Mm-hmm.
to help destroy a
Mm-hmm.
predominantly black area. It's not
Exactly.
100% black. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's predominantly black, but it's not a
Mm-hmm.
100% black.
Right.
And then the misconception is, or I don't know, everything is not a misconception. I do know in certain areas here, because I lived in one which was considered a poor area, utilities are higher.
Right.
Literally. I do
Mm-hmm.
know that I do know that where you have high crime, you have poor schools. I don't understand how we could be so churched in this particular area. And I'm talking strictly within about the black community, that we can
Right.
have all these wonderful churches
Mm-hmm.
and the city in 30 years has went down under our leadership. But what I don't like is when something happens on a particular side of town or in Jackson in general.
Mm-hmm.
You know they black because the news media put their face out there.
Right.
Something happened in Madison or Rankin County and you don't see their faces, you already know they not black. I feel like
Right.
there are a lot of biased things when it comes to news coverages. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like there are a lot of misconceptions when people come out and speak publicly about the
Mm-hmm.
Black community. But I also think that the conversations we're having among each other,
Mm-hmm.
they're not enough in this area.
Right.
That's
And
all that's all they've been doing is talking. We've been talking for 30 years. I can remember going to a school board meeting and I had one child still left in school, I think maybe two, and somebody from the church, because they know I'm bold enough to say stuff, wanted to know what I was going to say, and I wanted to tell her none of her business. Because I pay taxes, and I got a right to say what I want to say. But you know
exactly.
what I talked about? I talked about allowing unruly discipline in the schools.
Mm.
So I don't know how we can have, and I'm gonna say this again outside of that particular incident. I don't know how we can have discussions about, we can talk about the problems,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't have any solutions.
Right. And it's the same thing here in Holly Springs. Same thing. and, mm, yep.
Uh,
And,
and, and and that's why I sit on the fence because for people who do vote, I'm not motivated to vote anymore.
I lost that motivation a long time ago.
I'm not. I'm just not. I set up, and I'm not gonna say when I feel like I benefited from voting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say when, but I will say this. I don't see a major benefit. And I'm 47 and I'm fixing to be 48 years old.
Mm.
And then once again, we are so churched.
Right.
That's why people sometimes get burnt out. You know, um, you can get burnt out with church, not
Mm-hmm.
because of what churches may, need for giving and stuff. Sometimes you get burnt out when you see just in this area
Mhm.
Sometimes black preachers want to get up and they want to advocate for this. You want to
Mhm.
bring who you want to bring up in your pulpit,
Mhm.
politicians and stuff, and you're doing
Mhm.
all this, these people getting these votes, the city ain't getting better.
Exactly. Exactly. And like you
So
said,
I don't I don't know. I just do know that we are always advocating
mhm.
for other people. Things go on in other communities, other whether it's demographic, religious, whether
Mhm.
it's different races. We're the ones in the front line.
Mhm.
What bothers me is when the role is script and when the role is flipped and it's us,
Mhm.
you don't see other people like that in you don't see other people like that in the front line.
Right.
And that's my biggest concern because I really don't want you talking about what's going on in the black community.
Exactly. Mhm.
I don't want you telling us what we need to do because
Exactly.
whatever we've been doing in regards to
Mhm.
according to the numbers,
Right.
whatever we've been doing since integration, it ain't been working.
It haven't worked at all. And I have spoken a whole lot about integration before. I never really agreed with it
Mhm.
because in those times you had a lot of black businesses going on. We had Black Wall Street. A lot of black people have owned their own businesses. They have started their own towns and they have brought revenue to black people amongst towns and cities until the whole integration thing. And I think that has ruined Black Wall Street. That has ruined a lot when it comes to black people standing on their own. And yes, and that right there has put us in the position that we are pretty much in now. And another thing that, and piggyback on what you're saying about churches and pastors, preachers wanting certain names and certain politics. Are you still there? Uh, things went on.
I'm here.
Okay, okay. It
No,
went off for a minute.
no, I muted myself.
Oh, okay. Mhm. Okay. So yes, I think another problem we have is idol worship, and you see it a lot in churches. We have this thing, we idolize certain people because of a title or popularity. It's always like a popularity contest amongst the black community, and I think that ruins a lot when it comes to us. It's more about worshiping the idol than actually accepting what's the truth and what's real.
Hmm.
And we have this thing to where we pick and choose who we want to be real and wants to be the truth speaker. Just like I was saying in the a post I reposted yesterday that I posted back in 2014 about when I would say certain things, to be uplifting and enlightening people. I always come to me with the, man, you need to be a preacher. You need to be in somebody's pulpit. And I stop them real quick, like, whoa.
Hmm.
Just because I say these, they don't mean I need to be in nobody's pulpit. I just speak on common sense thing that I know. You know,
Hmm.
because people, I have been told that you shouldn't be saying the thing that you're saying if you ain't holding a title or in somebody's pulpit. Like, you need to be in somebody's pulpit. Like, no, I don't. No, because why?
Mhm.
And a lot of for years the church has let us down and have done it a long time ago. And that's why I myself have strayed away from it. You know, I'm a church musician and I think well, I know me playing in the church is just my love for music. But and the thing that behooves me is most people in the church, they they don't worship God like they think they do. They worship more the theatrics
Mhm.
than actually worshiping God. So,
Mhm.
and I think you know, it's just so much to uncover when it comes to us in the black community. And yes, when we start letting outsiders speak on that, that becomes the bigger problem. And like you said, I don't want them speaking on us because that's not their job. Let them worry about their own community and let us worry about us. Because the thing, and they think that's going on in our community is going on in theirs as well. And like you said, the news have a way of always putting the fake putting black people faces on the news when it comes to
Mhm.
something happening in the black community. But when it's something happening in somebody else's community, they don't put anyone else's faces on it. So yeah. So it's a thing called media manipulation.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I do believe in that. We want to welcome Miss Frederica Sandifer on. She's joining in, Miss Frederica. I know you only been on a minute or two, but is it something you want to add right now?
Hey everybody.
Hey, how you
No,
doing?
I'm good. How are you? Nice to meet you.
You too.
No, I don't want to add anything right now. I'm just listening.
Okay. So I know I sound like a broken record, but I think if we put more interest like we have in what's going on other places, like true interest, and not, we could talk about problems, but problem solving not being done. I think that's where our focus needs to be more of, and just my humble opinion. Like I say, politically, I think I'm kind of washed out because all of this talking and people got money. And like I say, I don't care what side of the aisle they sit on. You got money you take our tax dollars and do a lot of money, and they do a lot of things with our money. And I'm just going to talk about on the local level. We're not even going to talk about on this other level. I'm going to just focus on the local level for right now. It's amazing that I get up, I go to work, and other people get to choose how they gonna spend money that's taken out of my paycheck, even if it is to, you know, be in court, or even if it is for this, or even if it is for that, all of this, voting, just in my most humble opinion, and all of this churching, and Jackson has not gotten any better. And I've been here 30 years. And um I kind of don't want people to talking on it outside of other races unless they specifically truly know what's going on. But don't make it because it's just them, because other races do the same thing. That's what I don't like. I don't like when, okay, I'm gonna use this for an example. I'm over these welfare fraud cases,
Mm,
and I'm gonna tell you why I'm over them. I'm
mm,
not empathizing with anybody that has taken anything. But why you plastering somebody's picture all over the internet who done took $20,000 or less? And you got people out here done stole millions from the welfare fund, one of which just got off. The jury let
mm.
him off.
Ted
And the other
Diggs.
one, And I ain't even gonna almost call this man name. The jury let him off. Everybody
Mhm.
else pled guilty. One person went to trial in this recent case. The jury acquitted him. And then you
Mhm.
got somebody that still ain't paid their other $500,000 into TANF, who took money from TANF and put it on a volleyball court at Southern Miss. I'm not even comprehending who allowed this type of stuff. Who
Mhm.
who allows this type of stuff to happen? And it bothers me because I would have never thought in my age as getting older that I see the racism happen on a level that is technically happening on, because there's pure privilege racism, in my most humble opinion. You get to do what you get to do because of the color of your skin.
Right.
They went to jail for, and they get plastered all, and it doesn't make any of it right, but it also makes it unfair and it makes it unsettling. And it's almost like the statement is true. You can't do what you can't do what everybody else do. You can't do what the other folk do.
Mhm. True.
But we allow people to come in and say, this is what we suggest y'all do.
Mm.
What are these suggestions doing?
Right.
And we're on bandwagons and we're advocating, and we want everything for everybody else.
Right.
My thing is, how can you want more for everybody else than you want it for yourself?
Exactly. Exactly. It's the mindset that's been happening for over 4, 5, 600 years. Since slavery times. It's just the deprogramming. It's been going on for years. We have been programmed to think that way, to think that other races are better than our own. And it's sad. It is sad, especially up to this point, because a lot of us should have deprogrammed ourselves from this type of programming.
Mm.
Hmm.
So, what I don't even know what truly can be done. Because at some point, when you know better, you should do better.
Right.
But to me, only a small, minute few see the issue. No, to me, the majority see the issue, but there's only a few of us who's willing to say, you know what, I'm not going to indulge in this anymore. You know what, I'm not going to support this. You know what, I don't need them coming into our communities telling us what we need to do. You know what, we need to
Mhm.
stop talking and being a little bit more proactive. You know what, we really need to make some shifts. You know what, we need to hold on to our dollar and spend more of our dollars in our own communities. You know what, instead of trying to turn in, somebody for, panhandling on the side, that may not have even been able to afford a business license. Why not let's lift them up? You know what? Stop talking down on people. You know what? Let's rekindle these kids and let's get some, and let's see if we can get some tutors affordable, and we can keep money in house. You know what? Let's start back with our church schools. You know what? We got doctors and nurses. Let's see if people can make some little money on the side without tearing their mouth out the door, even if it is to just come out and do some wellness checks, check some blood pressures. You know what? You know what? Let's stop spending your money where your money is not welcome. You know what? Don't go over here and shop.
Right.
I shop in my right where I am, regardless. And I tell people
Hmm.
the only reason I go to
Hmm.
Rankin County, I literally work out there. Literally. I
Right.
every blue moon do I shop out there. And it
Right.
has everything. We
Hmm.
are minimum over here. It has everything. I don't care if Walmart and Dollar General can't get it for me. I don't have, or Marathon gas station. I don't have an interest. First of all, I'm a person of convenience. Second of all, I understand I got to be the change that I want to see. Third of all, it is not. It doesn't excite me
Mhm.
when I spend my money in an area that looks better than the area I live.
Right. Yeah, because over here, we go
The
to
streets.
places.
Over there, what?
I said we go to places like Kyville and Olive Branch, Germantown, places like that to spend our dollars on, like I said, shopping, even food, because and Holly Springs is a very minimum, and Byhalia is a very minimal, because there's no growth in either town. And it's sad, it sucks to have to do that. But, you know, when you when you have to places where there's no growth, you know, you have no other alternative.
I don't know what can be done other than to have these type of discussions. Like we're not sitting up here talking about the budget.
Right.
We're not sitting up here talking about where we're going to pull money from. We're sitting up
Hmm.
here saying, listen, if you're going to be the church, be the church. We know ain't
Hmm.
nothing perfect. The church ain't perfect. We basically
Right.
saying, look, if you're going to live in this area, do your best to spend your money in that area. We're basically sitting
Hmm.
here saying, look, we sitting up here marching and want to reform, take care of everybody else, and you ain't taking care of yourself, because when the script flips, the people are not advocate. They, at the end of the day, I love all people, but other races do not advocate for us like we have been advocating for other people for years, and we the main people that lead the equality freedom line,
Hmm.
but we the people at the tail end of the line.
Right. And it's been like that for a long time with us.
And that's why I want other people talking to us about it. That's my
Exactly.
biggest thing. Don't talk to me about equality when we're in the front line leading and advocating for the change, but we the ones still left getting breadcrumbs.
Exactly. Exactly. And mainly because it's always us against us. You know, a lot of us can try to enlighten the people in the black community, but the question is, do they want to be enlightened? You know, if we can, a lot of us can speak it to them, so to speak, but it's up to them to accept it. They're not willing to accept it, then that's the problem we have to overcome.
And
Hmm. Yeah, like you said, I mean, we have thought of everything. Pretty much nothing more we could think of to do, but we like I say continue to have discussions, because we have talked about this for years. And looking back on my Facebook memories, we have discussed this a lot in so many different ways and forms. And
mhm,
not only has a lot has changed, a lot has not changed, but a lot has gotten worse.
mhm.
So, you know,
Well, my plea to people is sweep around your own front door before you try to sweep around mine.
exactly. Sweeping.
Because while they were, um, because like some of us talk, other folks talk too.
Exactly.
So while they were over here talking about these kids not going to school here like they should, which I don't agree because when enrollment go down, your government funded and now they get cut. But see, these are things that has been put on the news.
Mm-hmm.
It never hit the news when them kids out there in Rankin County was allowed to take litter boxes to school because they was identifying as cats.
Wow. See, I didn't know about that. That's crazy.
Our children get counselors. They get mental health experts. At the end of
Mm.
the day, there's still a difference.
Right.
So you can be documented one way, one place.
Mm-hmm.
Like we talk, they talk.
Mm-hmm.
Like our professionals talk, their professionals talk.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like this stigma to me that when something wrong happens, why it's got to be, why are we the ones being put out there? Why can't we show, the news? Why you can't show some good things? Because there are some good things that occur here. There
Right.
are a lot of good things that occur here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, you got your first Thursdays every month. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we have these blues festivals going on. They just had a big blues show the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the fair is normal, so the fair ain't nothing exciting, as it used to be. But
Mm-hmm.
however, outside of eateries, we got the museums, we got the art things. You can go do your sip and paints. We have a lot of good things for a lot of people. But what I don't think a lot of us understand is if you can't take care of what you have, if your house ain't clean, don't invite me in your house.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, from an economic standpoint, businesses thrive where businesses see automatic thriving, not always potential.
Mm-hmm.
You can look at a dilapidated house and say, oh, it's got potential.
Right.
But if I'm investing in an area, why would I want to be the first one to do that?
Right.
Versus the least people ought to be able to do is keep their neighborhoods clean, and it's like the mindset, like you said, people gotta want to be inspired. People gotta care about something that's theirs, but it has to be theirs for them to care about it. And I came
Mm-hmm.
out and said it.
Right.
Most people
That's
that
true.
don't take care of stuff, they don't own it.
Mm-hmm.
I came out and I said it.
That's true.
I'm not gonna say most, I'm gonna say a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I was at the Dollar General the other day and I want to take a picture of this woman's tag and put it on Facebook.
Wow.
This lady had to been in her 60s.
Mm-hmm.
She throws the whole bag out in the parking lot, a Dollar General.
Wow.
She just right there in the front door of the store.
Wow.
She done did what she did in her car. And she threw this nice, polite bag of trash. We ain't talking about no bubblegum wrapper, which is still wrong. I ain't talking about a potato chip bag, which is even worse. I'm not talking about an empty can drink, which is even worse than a potato chip bag. I'm talking about this woman literally sat in her car, did what she did, and threw trash out right there in them folk parking lot.
Wow. That's terrible.
And what bothers me is you give people ammunition to say, there they go again,
Exactly.
when there's not all of us.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So I think that
Right.
we have just been I think it's a improper stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
I think people need not to always put their spin on what goes on in the Black community. But I
Right.
also think black people ain't got no business on nobody's bandwagon until they get their stuff straight they own. Because
Exactly.
this place, in my most humble opinion, is in the condition it's in. It has nothing to do with lack of funding. People in
Mhm.
leadership don't have the interest that they portray to have. Because there's
Right.
no way that you could love something so much and love a community so much that you represent.
Right.
And y'all's faces are our colors and the city
Mhm.
and the condition it's in,
Right. And it's bad.
except for certain areas.
Yep. And it's bad when you are a struggling city in poverty. You
Mm-hmm.
have $1.4 million and you send it to another town
Mm-hmm.
for their growth. 1.4 million that you could have used to improve situations in your town, but you send it to another town. I mean, that's something I don't get.
I just
So
think people are in each other's pockets. And I think that um it's in Ephesians. I can't remember it, but we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and the rulers of this world. I
right.
think we just troll thing for years. And I think it's all about who can run what, even if all I can do is run this little section, I'm just gonna run this section.
Mm-hmm.
Some people care. I think more people don't care
Right.
that we have in these
Agree.
in these elected positions.
Agree.
Well, we thank you so much, Mr. DeAndre. Listen, this was a good talk. If you are another race, we want to say, be conscientious of things you say that occurs in any community that is opposite of your race because you don't always know the backstory. As
Right.
Mr. DeAndre just explained to us in the beginning as to why he made the post that he made, I will go a step further and say, listen, Black people, you won't change. You got to do something different. You need some new faces. I didn't say new races. Okay.
Exactly.
So we do need to be conscientious of that. Mr. DeAndre, is it anything else you want to say before we end our segment for tonight?
Just thank you for having me, and I appreciate you for bringing that post to the light and wanted to discuss it. I appreciate everything, and I appreciate your support. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we thank you. Y'all go follow him. Frederica, we appreciate you chiming on. We know you in between something right now. Listen, y'all, we're gonna keep it coming. We're gonna have Mr. DeAndre back. We got a few people working on a round table, so we would like you to be a part of that also, and we'll keep you posted, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, y'all follow him, Mr. DeAndre Norman. I tagged him. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
All right, you do the same.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Wasn't so bad.